So it appears Barcelona's back. Also, does anyone remember Barca tunes? Hola, buenos dias, tardes. Before we start this video, of course, if we can get 3,500 likes, that would be fantastic. Now, last weekend, we saw a newly rejuvenated Barcelona side absolutely dismantle Real Madrid. The Catalans dominated in every aspect. Nearly 60% of the possession, 6 more shots on target than Los Blancos. Barcelona also had 695 passes to Real's 471. Now, in all fairness, we again confirmed that Real Madrid is Benzema FC, because he didn't play in El Clasico, and they were terrible. What made things even worse was Ancelotti, instead of, I don't know, putting in a striker like Luka Jovic, their other striker that they have, he just decided to push Modric forward. That was it. And it didn't work. A, Modric was basically out of position and was dispossessed 3 times. It only makes sense. B, it just left a gaping hole in Real Madrid's shape. Barcelona could play in and around their midfield very easily. And finally, C. Why the f just not bring on Luka Jovic? It just makes no sense.
Alright, I want out.
But Benzema being missing in El Clasico shouldn't take away from Barcelona's performance, because it was phenomenal. You don't just score 4 goals against that kind of quality. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang had 2 goals and an assist in that game, absolutely superb. As much as it pains me, Ousmane Dembele had 2 assists, really good game for him as well. Ferran Torres is showing exactly what he was doing at Man City, as he also scored a goal and assist. Barcelona's defenders, along with Sergio Busquets, showed nothing but composure and were huge for the build-up too. And we'll talk more about Barcelona's build-up a little bit later into the video. But this result in El Clasico, I believe at least, shows that Xavi is the real deal as a manager. I had constantly seen this man lead Barcelona to many convincing victories, but this one right here, it sealed it for me. He's the real deal. Now, with that all being said, I think it's time we go back a little bit, because just a couple months ago, it looked like the Barcelona future was absolutely bleak. Going into the 2021-22 season, Barcelona's financial problems were well documented. The club was over €1 billion in debt. A lot of people will say this was Bartomeu's fault, but this goes way back actually. I talked about this in a previous video, so I'll just kind of sum it up real quick. All the way back in 2010, a man named Sandro Rosell was elected president of Barcelona. This was when the true downfall slowly started taking shape. Rosell had ideas very different from the previous presidency. He focused more on buying big talents instead of youth. And within the first year of his presidency, he dropped UNICEF as the shirt sponsor and replaced it with Qatar Foundation. Rosell was the beginning of Barcelona selling their soul. Bartomeu was just the one who accelerated it. Countless years later of mismanagement, panic buys after the Neymar transfer, and it all made sense why Barcelona was over $1 billion in debt.
Not how this was supposed to go.
So going back to last year's summer window, Barcelona, as opposed to years past, actually made smart moves. I know, kinda crazy. They got Memphis Depay, Eric Garcia, Luke de Jong, and Sergio Aguero all for free. Here's the problem though. They couldn't register a single one of those players. La Liga has a sort of salary limit, and Barcelona exceeded it by quite a margin. And mind you, Messi still needs to be re-signed, but that was deemed pretty much impossible. So he announced his departure in early August and of course moved to PSG.
Non, tu crois pas? Non, Messi, tu peux pas nous faire ça! Tu peux pas nous faire ça, Messi!
Many argued Lionel Messi could have played for free, but even then, that wouldn't be enough to appease La Liga. The salary limit goes like this. The club can't register any players if they pay their squad more than 70% of their turnover. Turnover is basically how much a club earns before expenses. Even with Messi playing for free, Barcelona would still be paying 25% more than the limit. So after Messi left, Barcelona made some other sales and finally got to register their new players. But this was just the beginning of the misery for Barcelona going into the new season. With no Messi, Barcelona were like a lost child in the mall. For years past, the magician had pulled miracles out of his ass. So what was gonna save them this time? Certainly not goddamn Ronald Koeman, I'll definitely say that. A win against Real Sociedad to begin the season was by far the worst thing that could have happened, because it gave Barcelona supporters false hope. After the month of September, Barcelona were 6th in La Liga. Underwhelming results included 2 draws against Granada and Cadiz. In October, they lost to all Madrid sides, Real, Atleti, and even a historical 1-0 defeat to Rayo Vallecano. After the Vallecano match, however, Koeman was finally sent packing with the club sat 9th. And what about the Champions League? Well, what about the Europa League? That should be the real question. Barcelona throughout the entire Champions League group stages were terrible. This club not only lost its identity, they were reducing themselves to Burnley ball. They were down horrendous. Then on November 6th, Barcelona legend Xavi replaced the Dutchman as manager. Xavi at the time had spent more than 2 years at Al Sadd in Qatar. Throughout Xavi's playing career, he was considered the brains of the Barcelona system, and he tried to instill that kind of playstyle at Al Sadd. The question was, could that Barcelona-esque football carry on to a much more competitive league? Xavi's first match was an important 1-0 win versus rivals Espanyol. However, there wasn't much consistency in the first 13 matches. But here's the thing, it takes time to instill values and tactics in players. The only reason why people prioritize results and consistency at this early of a stage is because it's Barcelona. It's a club with very rich history. But that's just not a realistic approach, especially with how bad this Barcelona side was. So, in simple terms, trust the process. In January, Barcelona added a couple players, Adama Traore on loan, Dani Alves and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang for free, and Ferran Torres for 55 million. And many will ask, how the hell did Barcelona effortlessly throw 55 million at Ferran Torres? I don't f***ing know, man. Moral of the story, everyone, if you just don't acknowledge taxes, they're not there. But in terms of registration, it was a much more difficult process for Barcelona. The club couldn't immediately register Ferran because of the aforementioned salary limit, so the club needed to loosen some salaries. Sergio Aguero announcing retirement in this case actually helped Barcelona's finances. The club also loaned out Philippe Coutinho to Aston Villa with an option of buy. Coutinho at the time was the most paid player at Barcelona, so this was huge for the Catalans. The real turning point of Barcelona's season came after a 3-2 loss to Real Madrid. Despite the result, we were finally seeing what Xavi had been working on for such a short amount of time. And speaking of time, it usually does take a lot longer to instill values and tactics into players, so it was truly impressive to see Xavi do it this quickly. I mean, look at Mikel Arteta's Arsenal. It took 2.5 years to see the final product. But Xavi did this in a little over 2 months. It just goes to show how much of a genius he really is. Since Barcelona's exit out of the Copa del Rey in late January, they have gone unbeaten in their last 11, including 4-goal wins against Atleti, Valencia, Napoli, Athletic Bilbao, Osasuna, and now Real Madrid. They now sit 3rd in the league and have probably the best chances of winning the Europa League. Now let's talk about the players. Xavi has motherfuckers like Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and Ousmane Dembele thinking it's 2017 again. Alba has 7 goals in 5 La Liga starts. And a lot of you will be asking, well, Maxwell, you're an Arsenal supporter. What do you think about this? Well, you know, good for him. He wasn't doing that at Arsenal. He just needed to go. Sometimes players just need to go to a new place. I get it. And he's doing well, so good for him. And listen, can we just talk about Pedri for a second? This man is playing like prime Iniesta, and he's like 19. His passing is so accurate. We got to see some of that in the Nations League. We saw it against Italy. And, I mean, he's f***ing 19. And don't forget about Gavi, another young Barcelona midfielder who particularly impressed in Spain's Nations League campaign. Contrary to what many would assume, Xavi's 4-3-3 has his midfielders playing unlike how he actually did in his playing days. Xavi was the puppet master. He was a deep-lying playmaker that would drop back and dictate play. But under Xavi's playstyle, there's 2 midfielders that actually operate like temporary forwards. They'll make runs similar to that of a forward while the forward drops back. These runs attract markers to the midfielders and creates more options for one of the central defenders to seek. Usually there's 3 main options. Long ball over the top, ball to the striker in a deeper position, as there will be less pressure with the center back choosing whether to defend the midfielder's run or the striker dropping back. Or a ball to the winger for a 1v1 on the flanks, and this is where Adama Traore can be so effective for Barcelona. And in terms of fullbacks, Xavi has them acting like midfielders almost. It kind of reminds me of a system Pep used maybe a year ago. Dani Alves and Jordi Alba are kind of old, and they're definitely not as fast as they used to be. If you gave them the role of a modern attacking fullback, good luck defending. So instead, Xavi has them acting like midfielders basically. But it is truly incredible to see how Barcelona have transformed under Xavi. It gives a club a formerly bleak future a ton of hope going forward. Initially in the past, I had memed about Ansu Fati's 6-year contract, or Pedri's €1 billion release clause. But now there seems to be a clear project, one that seems to focus a lot more more on the La Masia grads, something that we've just not seen in a long time. Quite honestly, looking back, Messi leaving Barcelona was the best thing to happen for this club. One, because of finances, but two, it woke this club up. It made them realize they weren't invincible. But what do you think? Is Xavi the real deal, or is Barcelona gonna fizzle out of form and we'll see Xavi be kicked out after a year? Let me know. But a massive shout out to, of course, the patrons: Janos Balas, Alex Rod, Daniel Ortiz, Joseph Bonfante, Nguyen Mintang, The Motor Drive, Victor, Dominic Griffin, Emmett Shea, Louis Tomicus, Andres Was Never Here, Big Bird, Cash Getty, Exo, FIFA America, Itachi the Homie, James Huggett, Casa Cheese, Mark Morcos, Mohammed Abakhail, Nathan Trong, and Tyler Avin. If you'd like to join the Patreon, there'll be a link down in the description and up in the annotations. You can follow me on Twitter. We just hit 3,000, so thank you guys there. You can also follow me on Instagram, follow my TikTok where we did hit 6,000. So 7,000, baby, let's do it. And of course, you can follow my inactive Twitch. But until then, I'll see you guys.